my identity, which was a pilot, which is who I was, it didn't serve me anymore. They have 24 hours, I have 24 hours. Like, what is the difference between how they think and how I think? Everything at some level of people that were wealthy were tied to real estate. You know, real estate is just four walls and a roof. That's it. They cut checks and they give me a check for $20,000. I never identified as a real estate whatever. I identify as a business owner. This is just a vehicle. If you don't tell Google Maps where you're going, it's gonna go, I can't give you anything. If you have a system, and that becomes a business. If not, it becomes a job. What if we had the whole concept of fear and doubt wrong? What if that's actually a sign that we're about to grow? It's not about what you do. It's about who you become.
Welcome back, everybody. Today, I have with me Mr. Gus O'Philly, who is always here with us. And then we have the pleasure today of having our special guest, Mr. Steve Rozenberg. Steve is, to my understanding, you were wholesaling originally back in the day.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear a little bit about what wholesaling was like. That was before I was even in real estate. You built up a property management company that I believe you sold, and now you are a business coach. You were also a commercial airline pilot for many, many years. So you have kind of operated at a high level in lots of things. And now you're a business coach and you help people kind of make their businesses instead of just creating another job for themselves. So we are super grateful to have you here with us today.
Thank you. It's good to meet you guys. Glad to be here. The only thing I'll correct you on is I still am an airline pilot. I still fly a Boeing 777 for a major international airline while I coach businesses.
So you have your systems dialed because you are probably very busy. So you have to have everything in order.
Yeah. My virtual assistant, she saves me, who you guys probably talk to at some level to get to me. I think everything in life is a system. The system either runs you or you run the system, but there is a system. How it works out is up to you, you know?
And I love that. I think this is going to be really valuable for me because I was one of those people when I started, I had no money, but I had time. And so I worked. And I'm trying to transition into creating better systems because I'm realizing you can only scale so far. You run out of time, you start to have a little bit of money, and then you have to transition. And I hear sometimes on your podcast, you're talking to contractors and people in construction, and it's really hard to pull yourself out and create systems, but that's the only way you can scale.
Yeah. If not, it's a job. A business is leveraging. You're leveraging people, you're leveraging systems, you're leveraging money, time, and knowledge. The one thing I didn't mention was you. You're not leveraging you in a business. If you're not doing that, you are the one being leveraged. You know, real estate is just four walls and a roof. That's it. It's a structure. It's wood, concrete, lumber, roofing. It's the business model and the system that's running inside of that, whether that system is flipping, whether it's short-term, long-term, mid-term, you're selling notes, whatever it is, you can label it what you want. That's just the vehicle you're using inside of those four walls and a roof to get you what you want.
So can you tell us a little bit about, just go back to the beginning and tell us how you got started? Tell us a little bit about your origin story.
Born and raised in Southern California and learned to fly. I was very determined to be a pilot. I got hired at a major airline at 25 years old. I was the second youngest person hired by this airline. Went out to Guam, flew all over the South Pacific, Asia, Australia, just had the best life in the world. Was out there for about 3.5 years. And then came back to the States, moved to Houston. And while my stuff was on the boat coming from Guam to Houston, 9/11 hit. And 2 days after the towers fell was the probably scariest day of my life, because that was the day that I was called into an office and I was given a furlough notice, basically saying, you're a good pilot, but you and 50,000 other pilots are now on the street without jobs. And I remember walking out of that building, waiting for a taxi with money I didn't have. It was very sterile. They just take your badge, turn this in. Okay, we'll let you know. And in the airline industry, if you get furloughed, you have furlough rights. So in the union, you'll get called back if and when that ever happens. 9/11 was so traumatic, right? We just were attacked and now I'm sitting there and I don't have a job. And I remember standing outside waiting for a taxi with money I didn't have. And I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I could buy real estate. Like maybe I could start a business. And I remember thinking like, I'm not that guy. Like, that's not me. Like, I'm a pilot. I fly planes. And up until 20 minutes ago, I had a job. I had a paycheck. I flew a schedule. I had a career. 20 minutes later, I'm standing here going, who am I? And I didn't know. And it was a very, very vulnerable and humble situation. And for anyone that's ever been there, I didn't cause 9/11. I didn't cause anything to happen, but now I was affected by it. So I decided that I was going to, do something, because my identity, which was a pilot, which is who I was, it didn't serve me anymore because I wasn't that guy. And I would tell myself maybe I could own rental properties. Maybe I could do this. And you get that fear whispering in your ear saying like, no, you'll fail. You don't do that stuff. You're a pilot. You get furloughed and that's what you do. And I remember seeing other people out there, real estate investors, business owners, they had the money, they had life. And I'm like, why can't I have that? Like, why are they better than me? They're not smarter. They don't work harder. They don't do anything different. They still wake up in the morning. I'm like, they have 24 hours. I have 24 hours. Like, what is the difference between how they think and how I think? Because this life I had, that's not me anymore. That's not my identity. So I was like in a no man's land, like a void of life. It was very weird because 9/11 was happening and it was just a lot of stuff. It was almost like, like you're on the moon. It was very odd. And so after I kind of dust settled, and I've always been taught as an airline pilot, find solutions. You're flying along, engine catches on fire. No one needs to talk about the engine on fire. We kind of know it's on fire. We need to find a solution. So I started going, okay, let me get back to my training. There's a solution here. I just haven't figured it out, right? Kind of like we all have in rental properties and flipping, all this stuff. So I go to this building with books in it called the library. I get a library card. I start reading a book a week on wealth. What do people do that are wealthy? Like, what do they do? And everything at some level of people that were wealthy were tied to real estate. I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I could spell it, but that was about it. I didn't know anything. So I'm reading these books on real estate and wealth, and I'm like, okay, well, fuck it. I'm going down this path. So I start reading books on real estate. I read a book a week, everything I could find. Back then, this is, Kiyosaki. I'm copying CDs so I can take them from the library because I had no money. I remember being a pilot. If I wanted to learn how to fly, I could read books, I could watch videos, but that still didn't teach me how to actually go up in the sky and manipulate controls. I had to get a flight instructor to teach me how to fly. So I thought, I wonder if there's someone out there that teaches real estate, like a flight instructor, but for real estate. So I go on, Facebook didn't exist, any of those. I think I went on like Craigslist, and I found a guy like in California, and I was in Texas. And he faxes all the stuff over and he's like, I do creative real estate. I'm like, I don't know what that means. He's like, it's $10,000. I'm like, well, I don't have $10,000. And he's like, well, sucks to be you. If you were me, what would you do? And he goes, I would get resourceful. And he hangs up. And I'm like, the fuck does that mean? Like, what do you mean? So I call him up. I'm like, hey, I think we got disconnected. He's like, no, we didn't get disconnected. He goes like, figure it out. I'm like, well, can you explain what that means? I'm not a dumb guy, but like, can you explain? He goes, Steve, if you were dying tomorrow and you had to come up with $1, would you figure it out? I said, yeah. He goes, then figure out how to come up with $10,000 and let me know when you do. You've got friends, you've got credit cards. He goes, listen, it's just not a priority for you, because if it was a priority, you would figure it out and you would make it happen. So he goes, just tell me it's not important for you to do this. I'll accept that. But he goes, don't tell me you can't or you don't know how. He goes, you're a pilot, pretty smart guy. And I'm like, well, I thought I was, maybe I'm not. So it's a long story, if that's okay, but it goes somewhere. So he goes, listen, Steve, if you do what I say, this will work. It works. It's a system. I'm like, oh, system. I know systems. So he teaches me how to do a double escrow close. He explains it to me. I'm sitting down. I'm doing all this stuff. I do everything he says. I'm like, dude, I'm going to be your best student. He's like, yeah, whatever. Here, just take the shit and do your deal. 30 days later, I'm sitting at a title company. I've got a buyer. I did everything he said. I've got a transaction going. I'm sitting at a title company. I got my phone and it's 2002. So I got the big brick phone, right? And I'm on the phone with my coach and I'm handing the phone to all the people in the transaction, the buyer, the seller, the title company. And everyone's having this conversation. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to jail. Like, there's no way this is legal. Like, there's no way what this guy's doing. Someone's getting arrested and it's going to be me. So about an hour goes on and next thing you know, they all shake hands, they cut checks, and they give me a check for $20,000. And I'm like they're saying words I don't even know. Like, I'm just like, and I'm like trying to be cool. Like, I'm just like, I'm going to be cool. Don't just, hold the line. So I'm like, okay. So I walk outside and I'm thinking, this is when news cameras are going to be there, airline pilot and a real estate scam. I'm thinking this is where it's going to happen. And no one. And I'm like, so I call the guy up and I'm like, dude, I just made $20,000. And he goes, no, you made 10 because I got 50% because I helped you. I'm like, okay, I get it. But I go, but we did it. He goes, Steve, I told you, if you do what I say, it'll work every time. I'm like, is this legal? He's like, yeah, dumbass, it's legal. It's just creative real estate. I go, can I do it again? He goes, dude, you can do it as much as you want. I go, and this is the part I remember. I go, you must make a lot of people wealthy. And he goes, Steve, believe it or not, you're one of the few people that actually ever got it across the goal line. I go, but I just met you 30 days ago. And I just made $20,000. I go, I don't understand. He goes, dude, if you can figure that out, please call me and we will make a lot of money. Until then, good luck and always be resourceful. Hangs up the phone. I took that and I ran with it. I started flipping double escrows, or I don't even know if they do them anymore, but it was pretty complicated. It was double taxation and stuff. So then I started doing options. And it was before the word wholesale even existed, probably. But I got very, very good at understanding how to communicate. I am very, very dangerous with a ladder, a hammer, anything with a tool is not me. But I can talk and I can negotiate and I can communicate. And I got so good at it, I built a system around wholesaling with option contracts. I got so good that I bought an apartment complex with the money that I made. I took that money, me and my business partner at the time, well, we became partners in the complex, rolled that in, sold the complex. Church next door bought it for us because they needed a parking lot. Who would have thought? But they did. And started buying houses. Houses. We got up to about 40 houses, and then we realized we bought the wrong houses and we had no freaking clue what we were doing, and we were going bankrupt because we bought all the wrong properties. That turned into another problem. So I'll stop right there, but that's how I got into it. If that's it. I know that was a long intro, but that was it.
No, I love that story right there. I do want to ask a question. When they gave you the bad news after 9/11 and then you walked outside, did you already have an interest in real estate? I know you didn't know much about it.
No.
So what made you, out of everything, you could have been a guitarist for all we know. What made you pick real estate out of anything?
The knowledge of learning from going to the library, reading books, and everybody was tied to real estate at some point. I had flown with guys that had owned real estate because that's kind of conducive to being a pilot. We have extra liquidity. We have a lot of free time on our hands. Normally we do stupid shit, but it just seemed to align that, okay, you can own rental properties. It's scalable. It is a business model. And here's my thing, and that's a very good question, Gus. And the thing I will say is I never identified as a real estate whatever. I identify as a business owner. It doesn't matter what the business is. And I learned that later on in my business life when I got coached from a business coach, same situation when we started our property management company. That's why I'm able to successfully coach so many entrepreneurs these days, especially in the real estate. And I speak at a lot of real estate conferences still, and probably people I know, and stuff like that. But what I've realized over the years is that if I talk to a contractor or a roofer, they can kind of get around to the fact that they own a business. But when I talk to a real estate investor, I say, oh, what do you do? And they go, I'm a flipper. I'm a wholesaler. I'm a short-term rentler. I'm a BRRRR. You are a business owner. The subsection of that business is real estate. The subsection of that is called the tactic. And that tactic happens to be flipping, wholesaling. But if you identify as a subject to person, as a flipper, that's all you'll ever see. And that's all anyone will ever see of you. So for me, as a business owner, if someone comes to me and says, hey, Steve, I have $2 million I need to place into a business. What do you think? Would you want to be a part of this? They say me as a business owner, but if you said, I'm just a flipper, if they don't know anything about flipping, they would walk right past you because they don't see you as that person because you don't identify as, I'm not saying you, but we don't identify as the business owner. And the thing is this is the biggest mistake that people make is they don't understand where they're going with what they're doing. Meaning the biggest mistake, all entrepreneurs, especially real estate investors, is you have to start with the end in mind and reverse engineer your life. So as a result of owning all this real estate, what is your life like? Because at the end of the day, this is just a vehicle. It's just like saying, I'm going to jump in my car and I'm going to drive I-10 to the destination. And when I get to the destination, then I'm going to enjoy time with my family. We start identifying with the car or I-10. It's like, no, that is just the vehicle to get you to where you want to go enjoy life with your family. And we forget the life with the family part and creating memories, and we get caught up identifying as the car. And I think that's a big mistake. Real estate investors, and I think because we live in a house, so we associate a house with what we own, totally different. And from managing over thousands of properties and all that stuff, that is the biggest mistake you can do. And because I'm like, well, if you owned a pizza shop, would you live in there too? They're like, no, that's different. I'm like, no, it's not. Stocks, real estate, intellectual property, those are just vehicles to get you the revenue to go create the memories with your life and your family. And we forget about that and we get stuck in here, mostly because they never have a destination. If you were going to go somewhere in your car and use Google Maps, there are two things that you have to put in Google Maps: where you're at and where you're going. If you don't tell Google Maps where you're going, it's going to go, I can't give you anything. If you were driving around and you were lost and you pull up and I'm standing there and you're like, hey, Steve, can I get some directions? What's the first thing I'm going to ask you? Where are you going? And you're going to go, I don't know, man. I'm just fucking busy. And I'm going to go, well, then I can't help you. The biggest reason people fail as entrepreneurs, but especially real estate investors, is they don't know why they're buying that house and does that align to their destination. So they buy a house. I remember this all the time. People would buy a house and they go, hey, Steve, I bought this house. And they take the piece of paper and they put it like 2 inches from my face. And they're like, is this a good deal? I'm like, okay, first of all, I need some personal space, number one. But number two, I don't know what is a good deal for you because I don't know where you're going with this. It could be taking you completely in the wrong direction. I own 50 houses. Good. Is that getting you what you want in life? I don't know. I just own 50 houses. How do I know that? Because that was me. Because I was that guy owning a bunch of rentals. And all of a sudden I was like, man, these suck. These are horrible. These are bad deals. And someone said, what did you expect the result to be? And I'm like, I didn't even use that word, result. I never even thought of that word. So I was that guy. So I'm pretty passionate to tell people, like, don't be me. Don't make that mistake.
So you are so dialed in. What was it for you that made you did you buy all those properties and then kind of have this moment, okay, yeah, I have all this stuff, but this isn't where I'm trying to be going? What made that shift for you to where you got so intentional when you started that property management company?
We started the management company. We got to a point where it was, everybody has their low point in life, right? Our low point was trashing out a property that we had no money to trash out. It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath in Houston. And if it had any less than 1,000 cockroaches falling on us while we were cleaning it out, it would be a lie. 3 months, refrigerators falls open, falls on my business partner, all the food. He's throwing up. I'm like gagging. It's just like one of those comedy of errors, right? Now we laugh at it. We didn't laugh at the time, but that was our low point in our investing career. It's like, okay, this has to stop. And the thing is he was in the IT business. I'm an airline pilot, but we are running purely off of emotions. And we're making emotional decisions when that has nothing to do in a business, right? You never make an emotional decision in a business situation, which we were doing. And he said, all right, here's the deal. We are going to hand these off to a management company, or we are going to sell them, or we are going to self-manage them. Those are our 3 options at this point, right? This is good, worse, horrible, right? Us managing was the horrible. So I'm like, dude, let's just hand them off to a management company. And I think, like I said, we had like 35, 40 or so. So he's like, all right. And we ran an apartment complex. Like, you think we would know what we were doing, but we weren't. About a week later, he calls me up and he's like, dude, I got some bad news. I'm like, fuck, please tell me we didn't buy another house. No, he goes, nobody wants them. I'm like, what? He goes, nobody wants to take them. I go, what do you mean? He goes, these are low income properties, right? They're high stress volume. I'm like, what do you mean no one wants them? He goes, none of the management companies will manage them. They say they're too much headache. I'm like, well, what do we do now? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, fuck. So guess which we defaulted to? The one we didn't want. We couldn't sell them because it was after the 2009 crash. So it was about 2010, 2011. Couldn't get rid of them. We got them at great deals. Couldn't run them. So we started a management company for self-preservation. And what we did is we detached our emotions from it. We created SOPs. We created some rules and regulations of how we would run things. So just some barriers of what he would do, what I would do. I was more the visionary. He was more the integrator of that model. And next thing we know, Took about 6 months, but we kind of straightened out our properties because we treated it like we were a customer. Next thing you know, people come to us and they're like, holy shit, you guys fixed your problem. Could you help us? And we're like, fuck no, we don't want your problems. Like, we barely figured out ours. Like, why would we want your problems? And then they're like, well, we'll pay you. And we're like, really? Well, how much would you pay us? And like, well, we'll pay you a percentage of rent. I knew nothing about the management. And I'm an airline pilot. And I was flying back at the time. I got my job back. So we're like, huh. So we start managing people's properties. Next thing you know, and I wouldn't even tell my business partner, I'm like, dude, we're going to manage a couple. He's like, what? I'm like, don't worry, it'll be fine. Like, it'll be fine. We go from like 45, 40 rentals to like 110. He's like, what are all these properties? I'm like, oh yeah. I'm like, we've gotten a couple. So anyways, we're up to about 150 properties that we're managing, and it is a shit show. Like, we had no idea what we're doing. We were going out of business even quicker. Now people are just yelling at me every day. And like, my days are turning to nights. Nights are turning to weekends. I'm working 60, 80 hours a week. I'm like, this is the complete opposite of what I thought this would be. So I think back and I'm like, you know what? When I learned to fly, I got a flight instructor. When I learned real estate, I got a real estate teacher. I wonder if someone does this in business. So I go back on MySpace or whatever it was, and I find a guy, and I'm like, we found a business guy. So I'm like, dude, let's go talk to this guy. Let's just see what he has to say. Like, what do we have to lose? So we go there, and the guy goes, we tell him what we do. And he goes, all right, I'll tell you what, guys, come back in a couple days. Let me look at it. Let me do some homework on you guys. He wasn't a real estate coach. He was a business coach. Let me kind of do some homework, and I'll tell you if, the situation when I come back. I'm like, all right. So we're going back like a week later. I go, dude, here's the deal. Let's just write down what he says. We're not going to pay him. Let's just write down what he says. And when he writes down that word, that'll be the word. We're going to get it. We're going to bolt. We're gone. We win. So I'm like, have a pen, have a paper. Like, let's be ready. So we buy like new notebooks, right? For this thing, for page 1. And we sit down with them, and he goes, well, I got some good news and bad news, guys. And we're like, he goes like, what do you want first? And we're like, well, I want the good news at the end so we can leave, right? So we'll be cautious with him right now. We'll be courteous. However you want, we'll take the bad news. He goes, well, here's the deal. He goes, this is definitely a business. You have marketability. There is opportunity to make millions of dollars, and it is scalable. I'm like, yes. I'm like, tell him, like, literally looking at my business partner, like, dude, be ready. He goes, now, the bad news, you two guys are not the two smartest people on earth, and you will be bankrupt in 6 months because you have no freaking clue what you're doing, and you're already going bankrupt as we speak. And you are going to lose a lot of money, and you are going to get sued by all these people. So I'm sitting there with my pen, and I'm like, okay. So I close my folder, and I'm like, well, what do we do? He goes, I can help you. But he goes, you guys are doing this all wrong. It's like you guys are trying to drive your car from the back seat going backwards. You guys are all fucked up. So, well, we couldn't afford not to have him, basically. We hire him on the spot. We didn't have the money, but I'm like, we will be resourceful. Got credit cards, did all the thing. Over the course of 7 years, we paid him about $700,000. Every week, we saw him, we talked to him, we got beat up, but we learned how to be business owners. We ended up scaling to being the fastest growing company in the state of Texas as a property management company. We had over 1,000 properties in 3 different cities. We got so good at one point, we had this aha moment of how airlines run. And I'm like, wait a second, because when you grow in any business, you have growing pains. And we were growing so fast that we got to that vertical again where we're hitting that glass ceiling of staffing. So one day I'm sitting at the gate and I'm watching all these planes come in and out. I was about to fly a 777 to Tokyo, and I'm watching this plane. And there's a thing called the dance in the airline industry. I'm sure you guys have flown before. When you fly, you see all this chaos going on, right? See all this stuff happening when a plane comes to a gate. Now, the plane I fly, it holds about 380 passengers. Gross takeoff weight is about 700,000 pounds. When it comes to the gate, all this stuff is happening systematically. Bags are coming off, passengers are getting off, cleaners are cleaning, fuelers are fueling, maintenance, flights. We're all doing our own task in a system. And nobody has to talk to anyone else to board 380 more people, find their bags, fuel the plane, and in 1 hour push us back. That's a system. That's a perfect system in business. And as I'm watching this, I'm like, why can't I do this in my business? Why can't I put the systemization of an airline in my company? The answer was we could. So we started to run our property management company like an airline. SOPs, checklists, systemization, processes, emergency disaster manuals, you name it. Kind of like real estate, anything that happens, right? And so we got so good at right person, right seat for roles, right? That we started dialing into virtual assistants. And this is back in 2016, before it was like a word, a thing. We had a lot of success in Mexico with virtual assistants, and we were one of the first ones to go down there. We actually went down there and built a company in Mexico to build and service our company. Two white guys that don't speak Spanish is very, very hard to build a company in Mexico, but we did it. And we started feeding our business with virtual assistants. We had about 25 working for us. I started placing them all over the world because we knew exactly how to find the right person to do a task. And it got to the point, if it didn't need a license and it didn't need a physical handshake, it was in Mexico. And so I started doing a lot of stuff with Bigger Pockets, and I started selling virtual assistants and doing a lot of that stuff and explaining the methodology behind it. We ended up selling to venture capital, and we exited. The company was funded over 200 million, and we sold to them. And I became a vice president for them. They had 10,000 properties. And guess what they wanted to know? How does an airline pilot put an airline into a business to make it run without them? So I was doing that. And then after I sold, I started doing stuff with, like I said, Bigger Pockets and other speaking on stages. And I started showing real estate investors how to run their business and systematize it, how to make it, because it's four walls and a roof. We're kind of the ones who screw it up, right? Because we humanize it and I'm Steve, I'm special, I'm different, whatever. I'm a snowflake, whatever it is. And so the problem is they don't have a system. They don't have a process. And my thing is you can buy real estate, you can flip, wholesale, you can do all that if you have a system, and that becomes a business. If not, it becomes a job.
Well, I think one of the hardest things for any business owner, trying to create a system, trying to put the right people in place, you created a framework for hiring the right person in the right position. And I think that's one thing I've struggled with in my business is finding the right person. How do you figure that out for yourself? How do you find the right person? Fire fast, hire fast? Do you have a framework? That's a loaded question, but I think that's what a lot of businesses struggle with is finding the right people and putting them in place.
Are you okay with me putting you on the spot
Yeah,
right now?
for sure.
What's the sale date of your company?
I listened to you talking about this in a podcast. I don't have one.
There's a reason I'm asking this is the reason you have to have a sale date is kind of like your Google Map destination. It's not the date that you sell your business, but it's the date that your business becomes a saleable asset because it's running on processes, it's running on procedures, structure, checklists, other people, not you. That is a specific date and time. So you say, Steve, January 1st, 2030, I own 50 million in real estate. I have a 25% margin. I am making 5 million a year. And based on that, I have a profit margin of 20%. And I will be working 5 hours a month. That is the destination. That is the Google Maps spot. The reason this is important is this now becomes your vision. And this is what, when you are hiring someone, you say, hey, John, just so you realize, I am going to own 50 million in real estate. I am going to have 5 million in cash flow at a 25% margin, and you will see me 5 hours a month. If you have a problem with that, you probably should not come work for me. So it's got to be very, very clear. And people will come for a paycheck, but they will stay because of the vision, or they will leave for lack thereof. So then it goes into an organization chart. An organization chart is, hey, John, this is the org chart we are today, kind of like Google Maps. When you start, this is the starting. And maybe you're doing all these tasks. But when I own 50 million in real estate, this is the org chart grown up. And it's had babies and it's had kids. So this is your career ladder that you are going to grow on as we grow in this. Do you like that vision, John? Yes, I see how I fit in, and it's called WIFM. What's in it for me? So based on that, Okay, John, now for your participation, this is going to be your job description. Based on the job description, these are your roles and responsibilities that you are responsible for. Here are your key performance indicators so that we can measure your grade of how you're doing. It's not my opinion. This is your report card. And the most important thing is the DISC profile of the person you are hiring. Every role in your company is tied to a specific personality DISC. I teach DISC. So it's not that you may not be giving it the background to know who you should hire because you don't even know where you're going. I don't know if you do or not, but it's like, if you don't know where you're going, they're going to go, boss, where are we going? And you're like, I don't know, just fucking deal with problems today because we got a shitload of them. But like at some point they're going, she has no clue what she's doing. She's lost. And they will leave because of no vision. The vision is what inspires the culture that they will walk through walls when you're not around for you. And so if you don't create that framework, it's like we got to slow down to speed up. As entrepreneurs, look, let's hit the ground running. Let's light this thing. Let's go. And the thing is we never take the time to go, where the fuck are we going? We're on the freeway. We're going fast. It's like, yeah, but we're going the wrong way. And so the reason you're not able to have good people, I don't know this for a fact, but I will generalize it. The reason people can't hire good employees is they're not a good boss. Because a good boss creates a direction, leadership, and a destination. So people, whenever I go into a company, and I coach a lot, hundreds and thousands of people over the years, when people are like, man, I can't keep anyone, I'm like, really? I wonder why. And then I start asking questions. I'm like, do you really understand why it's not that you can't keep them, it's that you're not inspiring them. A leader is a cheer leader. You have to cheer them on and inspire them. And if they're not inspired, they will leave. Think about it. You have a vision. If they believe that vision and they believe it so much, we go to war over the vision and beliefs of other people. We watch football games and buy $150 jerseys of the name of someone else because we believe in the vision of the team. We join the military. We join gangs, motorcycle clubs, all these things. Why? Because we like that vision. And if you're like, I don't really have a vision. I just want you to come work for me. At some point that gets old. We want to be led as humans. We're pack animals and we want to be told what to do. And we want to be a part of something bigger than us.
You are speaking to my soul. Me and my husband were just talking about this morning, because as a real estate I own a real estate brokerage. I'm a very good real estate agent as far as sales and client relations. But as a broker, I often feel like I am failing my agents because I'm not inspiring them. Like I can tell you how to be a really good agent and make money, but to be a leader of a company. And I think that's why it's so important where I don't need a real estate coach. I need a business coach. I can do real estate. I don't know how to run a business. And same with flipping houses. I'm a contractor. I can flip a house, but to create it as a business where I'm not there swinging a hammer, that's where I'm failing because I have a vision of I want to make this much or sell this many or whatever, but to create a framework where people inspired and to have an end destination, I don't have that. And I've never had that.
And what it comes down to is, listen, at the end, I'm a huge fan and I coach to this day by very high level speaking sales coaches. And at the end of the day, you are selling them or they are selling you. Someone is getting sold in every conversation. And either you are selling your team, your vision. Now, a lot of times when we think of selling, we immediately go to our pocket because we think it's money. But that's a you problem. That's an aversion to money problem. Selling is selling a concept or idea, product or service. And I am just trying to get you to walk in thinking one way. And by the time I'm done, you walk out going, what if? What if he was right? Like, what if I want a better life? Because we don't buy a house. We buy the identity of the person who owns that house. I say this very respectfully, but amateurs sell the features. Professionals sell the future. You've got to sell the dream. Nobody cares what kind of walls or tile. They don't give a shit. They want to know when my family walks in, imagine your family walking in and going, wow, this is a nice house. You've made it. How awesome is this? It's future pacing them to who they want to be. It's the identity. It's like my identity as a pilot. didn't exist anymore. I had to come up with a new identity. When you are selling an identity of the future self of the person buying that. Why is it that people will come into a Ferrari and pay $400,000 and they know they're not going to negotiate the price? If you go into a Ferrari and be like, hey, how much you giving off today? They're going to be like, fucking wrong store, bro. But if you go into a Kia dealership, they will. So why is it that we're okay? It's still 4 wheels and an engine. It doesn't get to, it still sits out of light like you do in traffic. It's the perceived value and the identity of being in that Ferrari. So when you're selling your agents, are they selling on identity or are they selling the product? Nobody buys a product. They buy the identity of the person buying the product. Sorry, it turned into a sales conversation, but I'm very passionate about it.
Hey man, you got me moved right now. So I'm not even gonna sit here. I'm not gonna lie. And Emily kind of beat me to the punch. I'm in the same similar type of boat. Like we're moving, but then you're like having me think about questions in my head. So I want to ask this question. You started off as a pilot, then you wholesaled. Your coach, is he the one that got you talking the way you're talking right now? Because how you're talking is spot on. And it's like, yo, maybe I should have another discussion after this podcast is done. Like, where does this come from, this part?
When you jump in a pool, you get wet, but you don't know where you got wet first. You just are wet. For 20 years, I probably invested, and this is no exaggeration, probably close to $1 million of self-development training. One of my coaches right now, his name is Eli Wild. He was the #1 closer for Tony Robbins. Did $12 million in 1 hour for Tony. He is a master communicator. So when you're sitting in a room with Eli and other people like Eli, and now you're in that pool, and you start to realize, and it's very advanced stuff. I do a daily sales training as part of my coaching program because I think, listen, at the end of the day, we all need to become better communicators. Emily knows how to sell, right? You know how to do what you do. That's not my job. My job is to say, should you be the one selling or should you be the one leading? More importantly, what should you be saying no to in life for the opportunity cost of what it's costing you? And so a lot of times we think, well, I just have to do that. Do you? Or is that the story you tell yourself? Because we're so good with staying in our comfort zone, we don't want to go out in the dark part of the water where it's dark, where things could be ugly. We'd rather cling to the side of what we know, the side of the pool. Look, I am not a motivational person. Motivation just makes you do stupid shit faster. That is not me. I'm an educator, and I get you to think differently. We give fear and doubt so much power, but you can't see it. You can't smell it. You can't touch it. You can't even identify what fear and doubt looks like. But how many times do we let fear and doubt drive our decisions, big decisions of what could go wrong? But we're doing this based on the fact where it's going to go right, but we let fear. How many times have you talked to people, right? Either buying one of your houses or doing something, and they are 6 inches from gold and fear and doubt. So going back to my 9/11 story, I realized whenever I was fearful, I started realizing I did the opposite. When I said, man, that's a lot of money, I'm in. Man, what if I fail? I'm in. I did the opposite because what I realized is, what if we had the whole concept of fear and doubt wrong? What if that's actually a sign that we're about to grow and we're about to get on the path? So when I coach people or I speak at events, or, I talk to a lot of real estate brokerages and do stuff, coaching and stuff. And I tell them, the person that you need to become in 2026, they're not behind you. They're not in COVID. They're not in 2025. They are waiting to meet you in the future. But guess what they're hiding behind? Fear and doubt. And if you don't push past it, you will never meet the future you that could take you to the next level, because we are where we are today, and where you are today is not going to get you to where you want to go, because if you could have, you'd already be there. So you've got to go, okay, this obviously, now listen, I'm not saying that where you guys are is not bad, but if you have higher aspirations, which we all do, you have to change. And listen, every day you wake up, you make a decision. It's a very, very simple decision. The decision is, I am either going to be better or I am going to be worse than the person I was yesterday. And if you don't decide, guess what? You have decided. And if you're not doing it, there is someone that will beat you. There is someone chomping at your heels that will bypass you. It's like the jungle. You got the lion and the gazelle. They both wake up. They both are trying to survive. They're both trying to live to see the next day. But as soon as the lion sees the gazelle, one is running to save their life and one is running to take one. Every day, you got to ask yourself, which one are you when you wake up? Because as soon as you lose that edge, guess which one you are? And again, I just tell people, to get to where you want to go, you have to become someone you're not. Because if you were that person already, you'd already be there. So there's something you're not doing, people you're not around, people you're not talking to. You're the sum of the 5 people you talk to. I talk to people like Eli Wild, other people like that, because I want to hang around those guys, right? Those are the guys that I and what do? When you buy coaching, just like I do, I'm buying the thousands of mistakes that people before me have made so I don't make them. I'm speeding up time. Emily, you said something earlier about you didn't have time. You didn't have money, but you had time. I would caution you because without you realizing it, and I know this, you carry that forward. And we tend to waste what we value the least. So you will waste more time. It's like I tell people, when you're trying to be an entrepreneur, right? You're trying to be a real estate investor, a business owner, you're going to pay the bill. The bill is coming. The question is how do you want to pay it? You either will pay it in time, taking you 12 years of guessing, hunting, pecking, trying, a lot of sleepless nights, laying your head at the pillow, or you're going to pay for it in money. Money they reproduce. Time they don't. Why wouldn't you take the thousands of mistakes that people before you have made, expedite it and go, you know what? I can fucking make more of this. I can't make back last Tuesday. So that's my position on it. So I had become this person, and I speak all over the world. I've toured Australia 3 times. I wrote a book. I've got hundreds of people in my coaching program. Because why? Because we all just want to be a better version of ourselves. I'm no better than anyone. I'm no better than you guys. You're no better than me. We all wake up in the morning, we sleep, and at some day, we will expire. We will exit. If you're 38 years old, you have 1,950 Wednesdays left in your life to live, on average. I'm 53, so I've got a little less than you guys. But think about it. How effective are you doing that? Where are you spending your time? And it's a reminder for me. I think as entrepreneurs, we all get in that push. But the one thing I will tell you guys is when I sold my business, it was very sterile. It was very anticlimactic. It was very, I was almost like this is it. Nobody cared. Monday morning came, nobody cared. And I was like, what do I do now? And what I realized, and I'm glad it happened early on, is that as entrepreneurs, we are built for battle, not for celebration. We are built to be in the thick of it. That's where we love. We love that. It's like a shark. A shark never stops swimming. A shark swims. That's what it does. We are built for the journey. So we have to enjoy the journey more. And listen, we all have bad days. I have bad days. You have bad days. We have, fuck this. I'm done. What time tomorrow we starting? These kind of things. But that's because we're built for battle. And the more that you can say, like, you know what? Good. I'm glad this happened to me. Good. Now what? Good. This happened. Good. Now what? Man, we had a property burned down. I called my business partner. It was after a hurricane. He's like, that was an ugly house. We have insurance. It'll be fine. I was like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. But it's just these things, again, there's multiple ways to look at your day. And as entrepreneurs, the biggest thing that I believe as an entrepreneur, and this is why I got so big in building a community, is that there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to have like-minded people to talk to. And listen, I coach real estate investors, property managers, tradespeople, roofers, contractors. At the end of the day, we're all just entrepreneurs trying to use our skill to make money, to go have a better life, to create memories with our family. And we'd like to be in a tribe or a community to go, man, okay, I'm not fucking crazy. Like, I've had a shitty day. Other people have had shitty days. I'm not alone. And I think that's important to have. I think a community is what's lacking out there because there's so many fake people and there's so much lack of trust. Everybody has their hand in your pocket. I can't tell you how much I've been ripped off over the years. I'm like, you know what? That's on me. I got to own it. I can be upset, and yeah, you do. But after, it's like, you know what? There were signs and I ignored them because of my emotions, because either laziness or greediness. That's why people fail. You're either lazy or you're greedy. And I've fallen in those, and I'm like, you know what? Let me self-assess. Okay, good for them. They got me. All right, good for them. I know what not to do next time. And so that's just served me, because it's like trying to fight the tides. You're never going to fight the tides. You're not going to right all the wrongs out there. You've got to worry about you, your family, your life, and that destination. And that destination, I believe that you guys with, and I don't know if you're married, Gus, but Emily, with you, like, create a board of directors with your husband and your family. And every month, sit down and look at the yearly goal of the family and go, okay, where are we? What's the P&L for the family? What's the forecast? Where are we on our target? You run your family, the business side, of course, but do it as a board of directors, because it's a business. And, one of the things about coaching, I always tell people is, Emily, is your husband in the business with you?
Yeah, by necessity, not by,
Okay.
I forced him, sort of.
Yeah, so I get a lot of, husbands and wives that's similar. But what do we do with our spouse? We come home and we bitch and complain about all the problems. And they're like, why don't you just quit? Quit? What do you mean? I love this. Why would I quit? It's like, well, I only hear you bitching all the time. I never hear the good things. So is that really fair to them? Because you're really not giving them, like, we love it, but what do? We vent to the wrong person. That should be the person like, hey, man, it was an awesome day. I'm going to talk to my group about the shit that went on, the community. And I'm going to talk to them because they can understand. It's not fair for your spouse. Now, yes, they have a stake. And the reason you do a board of directors is because they have a stakehold in the success or failure of your business. So they need to understand, what are the financials? What does a P&L look like? Are we hitting our tasks? What are the challenges we're hitting as a business? Not asking you to be involved. I'm just asking you to be knowledgeable, because if I go bankrupt, you are affected. So I think it's important that you know and be congruent and in alignment.
Yeah, that's so true. I have a binder for my husband, because he with the investment pieces, he wants nothing to do with it. So he's like, if you die, I don't even know where all of our houses are. And so I'm like, okay, there's at least a binder that you know everything and where they're at and who pays what. So you just go grab that binder, and that will at least point you in the right directions.
Yeah, I get it.
So I want to ask you something. You have talked about the value of coaching, and I think that coaching is very valuable. But I think in our world, it's so scary, because everyone is now a coach online. There are so many people that have no business giving people advice in relationships, business, real estate, car sales, anything, and they're a coach. How do you recommend somebody that wants coaching, that wants to make the investment? How do they do their due diligence and weed out the charlatans from something that's valuable?
Yeah, well, first is proof of concept, right? I would want to talk to people that they coach. Like, hey, can I get the top 3 people that you work with? I'd like to hear what they have to say about you, right? I don't care if it's good or bad. I just want to hear, right? Because not everyone's perfect. If you talk to everyone and like, oh my God, this guy painted the moon, but he's perfect. It's like, that's bullshit, right? So there's got to be some things that don't align, right? That's number one. Number two, I would tell them, these are my goals. Tell me, how do you align with my goals? How do you help get me there? Think about this. So you've got to ask questions, right? When you ask questions, you control the conversation. When we put a tenant in our property, we do a background check, we screen them, we fill out an application, we do all this. You hire a coach or something, you're like, hey, he looks good. I saw him online. He's good. We're good to go. Why would you not take the same scrutiny? Like, I tell people, like, if you're giving someone money, maybe you should do a credit criminal background check. Do they have any lawsuits against them? Do they have 15 businesses before this one? If they were an Uber driver, not that there's anything wrong with it, and then they were a mortgage broker, and then and every 6 months they changed, you look at their past, you'll see their future. So I would look at depth of, and again, does it align with what you want? Like, I'm not a real estate coach. I'm a business coach. I make you think like a business owner. Now, I have coaches underneath me that do these kinds of things. And yes, real estate, I'm very involved in real estate by default of being involved in it. But I'm like, they'll come to me and say like, hey, Steve, what should I do on this transaction? Like, I've got some agents who are like, hey, the bank's saying this. What do you think we should do? So I'll be like, well, I'll put on my real estate hat and help you. But I'm kind of an anomaly in general. But have they done what you want to do? I built a business, scaled it, exited to venture capital. If that's not something you want to do and you just want to have a job and be a DIY person, I'm probably not going to give you the best advice. So to answer your question, I think the answer is you've got to do your due diligence. You've got to make sure, you don't just, I'm sure when you got married, you didn't date your husband one night and you're like, that's it, we're in. You probably dated a little bit. You did some background, you know, how is that any different? I feel like a coaching session now.
No, this is awesome. When I found you on social media, there was a lot of guys I look up to as real estate investors, whether it be Michael Zuber, Gabriel Hammond, Brandon Turner, David Green, all those guys. Those are guys, when I was building up my real estate portfolio, I would listen to a lot. You as a business coach, could you share with us, and you don't have to say the person's name, someone you met and with that relationship, where you guys were able to take it from as an example, and what were the things that you implemented as a partnership?
Yeah, there were some people in those names that I'm good friends with all those people. All those people you mentioned, I'm good friends with. I've been to Brandon's house. I'm speaking for Brandon's event in a couple months or so. Charles Yarber, Jay Scott, all these guys I'm very good friends with. But they don't call me about a syndication. They call me like when they're having challenges with their syndication about how to talk to their people. How do they, so that's when they call me. They're like, hey, Steve, how would you systemize this? Like, what kind of system would you wrap around this? So, and they're all coached. Brandon's coached, all these guys. I'm like an advisor. I kind of step in as an advisory role. I've got a good buddy of mine. His name is Trey Stone. He's owned like 6,000 units. He's here in Houston. And we've been friends for 20 years. And, he wanted to hire me as his coach. So I'm like, man, we're friends. I really don't want to be your coach. I'd rather just advise you. So I'm kind of like an advisor to him. He's a very, very successful guy. But he's like, dude, you're the guy I need to talk to at that level. And I work with title companies. I work with a lot of real estate companies. I come and speak property management. I keynote property management conferences. I just look at things differently because think about it this way. Boeing, for the last 28 years of being a pilot, Boeing has invested millions of dollars in me to make sure that so the Boeing 777 that I fly is about a $250 million aircraft. And I'll fly from Houston to Tokyo, to Australia, to a lot of lives, a lot of money. They have a lot of money invested in me. Everyone flies, but no one knows what happens when that door is shut and what happens on the front, all the systems we have to know, the checklist, all those things. That's what people come in, they're like, we've never met someone like you because I took that knowledge and injected it into real estate, into business. So I'm kind of an anomaly like that. Most people just stay as pilots. Nothing wrong with that. It's just I enjoy what I do with helping people. So to answer your question, it's more of an advisory role with a lot of these guys where they'll call me and they're like, dude, I just want your well, my Rolodex is obviously pretty in depth of, I coach people all over the world and I help a lot of people and I'm just a very good connector with people. But I think that to answer your question, I think the biggest challenge that they have is they have the mindset issues, right? Because it's scary when you're alone. And if, one of the reasons my community is so strong and so powerful is because if Emily's a roofer and you're a plumber and I'm a real estate investor, well, we all have challenges with employees, branding issues, SEO problems, but we all look at them differently. But if we were all real estate investors, it's like everything is a nail and we're a hammer. But Emily has a rake, you have a broom, I have a shovel. We all are going to do the same thing, but different tactics. And so what's great is when you get into a community of different people, you're like, okay, you may sell something different, but you've got employee challenges. You've got subcontractor issues. You've got virtual assistant needs. So are we really different? Is it right to identify as I am this group and you are that group? Or should we identify as, hey, we're all entrepreneurs. We all kind of have the same challenges. Maybe Emily has something going, man, I never even heard of that before. I didn't even know that was a thing. Just because it's not because I'm hanging out with a bunch of real estate investors, not that there's anything wrong with that. I think there's a time and place for that. But I also think at some point you've got to level up to be that business owner. And I always tell people, you need to learn to work from the neck up. As soon as you lift your arms as a business owner, you are losing money. You guys look like you're in deep thought.
I have all sorts of notes of things that I just need to take a day of. I'm not necessarily like a vision board person, but of things that I need to know because you don't always know where you want to be. When you say, where's your destination, right? Where's your sell date? There are things that I don't know without some introspection what my end goal is. And then the thing of you saying as well as an entrepreneur, you always want to be, I want to keep, even if I sold something or I ended something, I don't want to just retire. So what's my my goal to get something to the place it needs to be, but then I still want to be in the game. I don't just want to stop. And so I have all these notes of like this internal work I need to do to figure out what my goal is, to then figure out, okay, what kind of coaching do I need, or what type of plan do I need to make? But first I need to figure out where I'm going, because even right now, I don't know in each of my businesses what's my end goal. And so I got to figure that out first. So I have all these notes. I mean, I have a lot of work to go do. I have homework now.
Well, listen, I think, and here's the thing. Like I said, I'm coach. These are my manuals for my program. This is a 300-page manual. I've taken businesses and broken them down based on revenue breaking points. 0 to $1 million, they break. $1 million to $5 million, they break. $5 million to $10 million, they break. So I created manuals. This is just 0 to $1 million. This is where businesses will break. Marketing, sales, operations, leadership, finance. If you have the recipe, it gets easier. If you're hunting and pecking and doing it, and again, if you do it on your own, 94% of all business owners go out of business in 10 years. So you've got to ask yourself, what is it that the other 6% are doing that you're not? And do you think you're going to be in the top 6% if you keep doing what you're doing? Because if you say yes, then I would say, why aren't you there already? So sometimes we have to change, right? And listen, I tell people all the time, it's hard to change and it's hard to stay the same. Pick your hard. One of them is a surefire way to go out of business. The other one's uncomfortable. It takes focus and intention, but it also leads to having the life that you want. And I'm very cautious for your audience and you guys to make sure you realize it's not about what you do. It's about who you become. Real estate is just a vehicle, right? If you're like, hey, Steve, we sell remote control cars. Okay, cool. It doesn't matter. So you want to stop identifying as real estate. I'm a business owner. Business in this season just happens to be real estate. And I was very, very fortunate. We didn't hire a property management coach. We hired a business coach. And he taught us the fundamentals that all businesses run under the same chassis. And that's what I coach people on. So my coaching clients get 20 years of me. What's that worth? I don't know. I mean, it depends on what you do with it, right? It's like going to the gym. You can have the best gym in the world, but if you don't go and you don't lift the weights, it's kind of waste of time. I can give you the books. I can give you the manuals. I can give you we do daily sales training every single day. Why? Because I think most people's biggest problem is they don't know how to sell. They don't know how to communicate, and they don't know how to make money. That's it. And if you looked at, I think the best athlete in history was Michael Jordan. He practiced 8 hours a day, every single day for a 2-hour game. And he had 5 coaches. Any professional athlete, Tiger Woods, Tom Brady, Metallica, Guns N' Roses, what do they all do? They practice. They practice all the time. Every single day, they practice. I tell people, if you make your money based on your ability to communicate, but you don't think you need to practice, but Michael Jordan does, I got to wonder if your paycheck is anywhere even in the hemisphere of what those guys make. Why? They're not better. They're not smarter. They're focused. They have clarity. They have a belief that they're going to be the best, and they follow it up with action, and it's a priority. So when people tell me no, I'm like, just say it's not a priority. Just say it's not important to you. I can accept that, but don't give me a bullshit lie. Well, Steve, that's a lie. And I tell people all the time, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to make you successful. There's a difference. I can be nice or I can be honest. I can't be both. If you want a friend to tell you it's okay, that's not me. It's not me. I cannot ethically stand by and watch you go and become a smoking hole, because here's the other thing. And this is what I tell business owners all the time. We had a group coaching call today. It's on Monday's Mindset. And one of the guys on there was talking about how he's really having a hard time. He had these New Year's resolutions. He was going to lose weight. He was going to eat healthy. He was going to do all this stuff, and fucking nothing happened, right? 3 days later, he's back eating McDonald's. I said, listen, man, here's the difference. For some reason, you think you have a choice. You don't have a choice, because what are you going to do when you're in the doctor's office and they say you have 30 days to live because you're obese or you have to lose a leg? And now your family that is expecting you to build a business that runs without you doesn't have that, because you were selfish, because you chose not to take the family as the priority. It's not the food. I go, listen, Just don't fucking drive home the way the McDonald's is. It's pretty simple. If you don't have it in your house, you won't eat it. If you don't drive by there, I go, you don't need willpower. You just need to get creative. Be resourceful. And so a lot of times when people think they have I'm like, why is it you think you have an option to do it or not to do it? I don't understand. Like, you have a responsibility to the people that are trusting you to do what you said you were going to do what you were going to do, and I'm doing what I'm going to do. That's the boss employee family relationship. Why is it that you think you don't have to now because you're not in the mood? What does that have to do with it? You have a responsibility to do these things. Sorry, I know we're going way off topic here.
No, I love it. It's super valuable. I have another a selfish question for you. If somebody comes to you for coaching, you talk about knowing where you want, like, what's your goal, right? It's different depending on what your end goal is. Does a client need to know that before they come to you? Or if they have their businesses, can we come in and you can kind of help us figure out what the trajectory is?
Yeah, most people don't. I did. Listen, I didn't. I'm not this end all be all, Dalai Lama that knows this. I didn't know these things, but I know the questions to ask that make you go home and think. One of the first things I do when we coach you, what do you think the first thing we do? What would you guys guess?
I mean, I would guess just some sort of interview to talk to us and figure out how fucked up we are.
What do you think, Gus?
Yeah, I would say a screening process.
Talk to your partner or your wife or your husband.
Someone who knows you the best.
You guys just throwing shit out there now. Aqua. If you want to go on a budget, you track your money. If you want to go on a diet, track your meals. If I want to see if you're truly being the owner of your business, I'm going to track your time. I'm going to do a 2-week time study. And that 2 weeks are going to tell me, what are you doing with your days? Are you being reactive? Are you being proactive? Are you working on the business? Are you working in the business? What are you doing? Are you doing $10 tasks or are you making $10,000 decisions? The first week is the holy shit, what am I doing? And I don't care what you're doing. I'm just looking for the trends. Because the things that you shouldn't be doing, that's great that we identify it, because now that's what we're going to outsource to either technology, automation, or a virtual assistant. So now we know what you shouldn't be doing. The first week is identifying we have a problem. We just ripped off the Band-Aid and we see where it's infected. The second week is coming up with solutions to fix it. Everything is a solution. I mean, think about it. As entrepreneurs, people have a problem. We have a solution. That's how it works. If somebody doesn't have a problem, you can't sell your product. If I'm hungry and you sell hamburgers, I have a problem, you have the solution. Now, if you sold those hamburgers and tried to sell me one when I came out of a buffet restaurant, I'm going to go, bro, I just ate. Bad timing. But if you took those same hamburgers and you went to the University of Texas football tailgate, you'd sell every one. Same hamburgers, but now you found a hungry crowd that had a problem. So I've got to understand what is the problem we're trying to solve with you to have the solution. And if I could say, hey, Emily, stop doing stupid shit. Stop doing this. You're going, Steve, I'm busy. I get people all the time. Steve, I'm so busy. I'm busy. Okay. If I say it, it's not true. When you write it down and you're like, oh, fuck, it's in your face. And I'm like, okay, now we stepped on the scale. Now let's come up with a solution. So first thing I do is the time study.
So I like asking this question to a lot of the guests that come on our platform for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs. How important is social media for your business, or is it even important at all? Or is that something that you implement in your business relationships?
Yeah. I mean, I have virtual assistants. They do all my postings and stuff. I do the content. They make the postings. It's good for social proof. It's good for them to go, okay, because look, when you're looking at someone, what's the first thing you do? Probably look at the social media. If you looked at my social media and everything was just being a pilot, you'd be like, I'm not sure. But if I go to social media and you see me with Brad Lee and Iron Cowboy and on stages in front of thousands of people, you'd be like, oh, Andy's a pilot. More interesting. So all that is, the great thing about social media is there's no barrier to entry. I mean, I could rent all that shit and you'd be like, AI can do it, right? The problem with it is there's no barrier to entry. So it goes both ways. I think that's why I think these kinds of conversations, see, a lot of people, AI is the thing, right? Everyone's an AI expert. Everyone wants to show me how I can build my business with AI. And that's great. And this is what Eli Wild taught me. Until they actually talk to you. And then when they talk to you, they're like, first of all, you're way uglier and fatter than you were on your AI picture. You're a horrible communicator. You can't talk. You don't understand how to communicate. We don't want you. I don't trust you. I've broken the trust barrier with you. So you've got to have the trust factor. The trust factor is this, right? Because we are humans, we communicate, at least for now, right? So I think social media is good, but it's an enhancement tool to who you really are, in my opinion.
I want to be conscious of your time because you have given us so much here today and now, and I know you're very busy. So I just want to give you at the end, if there's anything we haven't hit on that you feel like you want to leave our audience with today, that you feel people need to hear, have we not hit on something you want to share?
The only thing I would say is, you go to events or you see these podcasts and, an overnight success is 15 years in the making, right? I can tell you, I am not someone that just fell into this. No one is. Everybody has their failures. I just happen to talk about them. That's the only difference. I don't give a shit. I am who I am. And people either, like you, love you. So my point is run your own race. Nobody cares. Like, this is the biggest thing I tell people. At the end of the day, nobody cares about your problems. Nobody cares about your bullshit. Nobody cares what you have going on. You have to care more than anyone else. And stop looking for permission from other people and it's not even to be the person you want to be, but to actually be the person you are. So you already are that person. Sometimes we're just looking for permission to be the person that we once were at some point. I talk to business owners all the time and I'm like, dude, like, you ever wonder where your passion went? Like, when you started your entrepreneurial journey, you were so passionate. You were fucking walk through walls. You were the person. Now you're beat up. You're worn down. Where's that passion? So because you're trying to run someone else's race and you're always looking at the next lane over, run your own race. Nobody cares. If I made $10 million tomorrow, I may get some pats on the back, but nobody cares. And the thing is not everyone out there wants to see you succeed. And we're related to some of those people. Don't think everybody wants to see you be successful because it puts a thing on them to go, fuck, I guess I got to do something now. He just did it again. How many times can you get lucky? So my advice to people is run your own race, be your own person. You will live a much, much happier life doing that than wondering what other people are doing.
If anybody wants to find you, reach out to you for coaching, for engage anything, what's the best way for them to reach out to you and your team?
Yeah, so they can go to my website, steverozenberg.com, ROZENBERG.com, or they can email me direct at support@steverozenberg, ROZENBERG, support@steverozenberg.com. Either one of those will get to me. But I'm very approachable. If people call me, I don't need to coach you to give you advice. So if somebody has a question, I'm not the guy who doesn't respond. If you send me a message on social media, I will answer. It is me. I'm pretty open. And yeah, I think there needs to be more givers and less takers in this world. I think there's a lot of people out there that take withdrawals in people's lives. And sadly, those people rise to fame. And I think I don't need money. I'm good. I'm pretty well off. I like helping people because it's the right thing to do. And I think more people need to give back than to take. So if somebody wants to get a hold of me, they will get a hold of me. If they don't, then they won't. It's pretty simple.
Thank you so much for your time. This has been, I know for our audience it's valuable, but for me personally, this has been incredibly valuable. And I seriously mean that. I've taken so much value from this, and there's a lot of work I'm going to go do. So I really thank you for your time and sharing your time with us today.